Jo was born in Houston. From a childhood of poverty and tragedy, she graduated magna cum laude from Alif Elsik High School, where she was an All-American in both track and field and basketball. Jo accepted a scholarship from the University of Houston, where she continued to excel in the classroom, on the track, and in the community. She graduated magna cum laude with a degree in political science. She was a 3-time NCAA track and field heptathlon champion. She was the runner-up for SWC Female Athlete of the Decade for the 80s and was a 2-time academic All-American. Her athletic success led to an induction into multiple halls of fame. She also served as a member of the student government and developed a voracious appetite for government, immersing herself in numerous community boards and organizations to help others. But it is the strength Jo developed before her college years and professional success and dedication to community service after graduation that add to an already amazing story. Her single mom raised Jolanda after her dad committed suicide in her presence. She was confronted with multiple evictions, houses burning down, bullying, rape, domestic violence, being shot at, seeing dead bodies, lack of food, gas, water, and electricity, and being bullied. She overcame the murder of her brother, aunt, and numerous cousins, and the SIDS death of her niece. Jo learned resilience at an early age. After earning her bachelor's degree, she went on to earn a law degree from the University of Houston. She has run a successful law practice for 30 years, garnering many prestigious legal awards. She has also earned a reputation as a powerful businesswoman, author, an unapologetic human rights activist, a Houston City Council member, a school board trustee, and as current Texas State Representative for House District 147. Jolanda continues to improve the lives of her constituents and helps create jobs and opportunities for small and minority businesses. She is a different kind of businesswoman, committed not only to business but to her family and humanity by bending the arc of the moral universe towards justice. Jolanda is a public speaker, a TV personality on CBS's Survivor Pa, Lau, and was the star of Wet Sisters-in-Law. Her second book, Owning My SHIT, Suffering Hardship Internalizing Trauma, is an Amazon bestseller. She also co-authored Shoal Athlete Survival Guide: Essential Study Skills for the Scholar Athlete. For a career of professional success and community service, Jo was inducted into the Academic All-America Hall of Fame. Jo has been, is, and always will be a force.
Well, thanks to all the Bentley kids for rearranging your schedule on quick notices to be here today. Representative Jones, thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule. So I know we're looking forward to it. So with that being said, I'll get out of the way and stand back.
Yeah. Joe, what we've asked the student athletes to come in with some questions. Now, you may get some questions that may take you back. Like, what was it like back in the day? I mean, it's been a couple of years since the University of Houston, and you try and balance, finishing magna cum laude again, being 2-time All-American, 3-time NCAA champion. I mean, you did a lot then. So some questions might kind of have to clear some cobwebs out, but there's no rules on the questions. The student athletes can go in any direction, and I know you're ready. So let's just open it up. Who wants to go first?
I can go first. First of all, thank you, Representative Jones, for taking the time to chat with us today. I really appreciate you being here and talking to the team. And I guess I'll just jump into my first question. And so we're all student athletes, and we know that balancing academics and athletics is really difficult. But balancing a demanding athletic career with academic pursuits at the University of Houston and being a 2-time academic All-American, what strategies did you employ to excel both on the track and in your studies? And how have these strategies informed your professional life as a lawyer and a representative for the state of Texas?
So I was very clear that my number one priority was my grades. So I actually got into it with my coach because one time when it was time for finals or I had a test or something, I can't remember. And the coach, a lot of athletes are pressured to focus more on sports than they are on their studies. And so the coach expected for me to be at the track, and I just wasn't going to do it. I knew that my brain was going to pay for my life for the most part, and that my sports were not, because back then there was no NIL. And girls didn't make money. So after our college careers were over, unless you were going to Europe, and I did an event, the heptathlon, that you can't do 2 or 3 times a week and make money. So if you ran the 1 and the 2, or you long jumped, you can run 2, 3 meets a week. If you do the heptathlon, it takes at least a good month to recover from the hep. So I knew I had to make good grades. And so it was a challenge for me because coaches didn't always appreciate the value of being a scholar. Plus, back then it was against NCAA rules to work. And I grew up poor. So I had to find ways to go to practice. Even though I was tired, I had to study. I had perfect attendance from kindergarten through college, except for I missed 1 day of school in 8th grade. And if you don't think that I wasn't sick some of those days, I was, but I was, whenever I went into any class, and I'm like that to this day, I want to get the highest grade in the class. I don't care if there are people there that they think are smarter than me, then I'm just going to outwork them. If they get up at 6 o'clock in the morning, I'm getting up at 5. If they finish studying at 12 o'clock at night, I'm going to finish it at 1. So, and then we didn't get 3 meals a day. So on Saturdays, we got 2 meals. So Monday through Friday, we got 3 meals a day. Saturday, we got 2 meals. On Sunday, we got 1 meal, which means that I had to figure out how to buy a meal on Saturdays. So I snuck and worked. Like, I literally violated NCAA rules because my mother was poor, so she couldn't afford to give me money. I had to get money to wash my clothes. I had to get money to eat. I had to get money to catch the bus to the job I wasn't supposed to have because I didn't have a car. I didn't get a car until I was 24 years old. So, but I think that where there's a will, there's a way. Where there's a will, there's a way. You have to prioritize things. And one thing my grandmother taught me is you have to focus 100% on the task at hand. So if I'm doing X task, then every other task I have is just out of my mind until I complete X to the best of my ability. And then I move on to other stuff. So you, for the most part, have to learn how to triage. So, and then I'll say this, that the skills that you learn as a high level athlete, especially if you're in a team sport, will help you be a very successful business person when you get older. Because unless you're a one-person company, it's going to require a team to be successful. And especially in cross country, where, I mean, in track it's individual. Like if you're on a relay, then maybe you understand the interconnectivity of teamwork. But like at a general track meet, you know how they tally points. Well, in cross country, it's like, and I don't know, I didn't run cross country in college. I ran cross country in high school. But for us, they took by the way, I got 8th to state in cross country. So whatever I did well at. And in fact, I was undefeated my whole senior year until there was a shift in my thought, which if somebody asked me that, I'll tell you what that shift was. But they take whoever has the lowest score when you do the top 5 people on your team, and that's where you place. So if you run cross country, then certainly you understand the importance of teamwork and how you're absolutely as strong as your weakest teammate, which is why it's important to drag your weaker teammates along with you.
Next up.
Hi. Sorry. Thank you again for speaking with us today. I was just going to ask about if you could talk about a time that you experienced failure, either in athletics or in your career, and kind of how you overcame that and what you learned from that experience.
Hold on 1 second. Please take that and hang that out there. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Somebody brought my clothes in from my car because I left them in the car running here to get back to you guys. Now, tell you a time when I failed.
Yeah.
And how I recovered from it. Is that the question?
Yeah.
Well, hell, I failed a lot. I did not make the Olympic team. I did not make the Olympic team because I was young and didn't focus on what I was supposed to focus on. So I'm a taller person. I'm 6 foot, and I was a heptathlete. And the first event in the heptathlon is the hurdles. For those of you who run track, and so I had to focus on getting my feet down when the gun went off. And And if I didn't get my foot down when the gun went off, then I got too close to the hurdle and really bad things happened. And in the '88 Olympic trials, that's exactly what happened. There was a girl who, I don't know, she was probably ranked number 15 in the country. I should have made the Olympic team. I was ranked in the top 3. And she false started and tapped. We got 2 false starts before we were disqualified. And she jumped twice. And I was real irritated. So I was irritated when the gun off rather than focused when the gun went off. And I hit the first hurdle. It hit me back harder. Ended up having surgery. The meniscus in my knee had to be taken out, and I severely bruised my heel. And that was that. I was heartbroken. I was devastated. I won the NCAA championships for 3 years. And I didn't make the Olympic team in the heptathlon. And to make matters worse, the girl I hated, like my arch nemesis, just filled in. So I was ranked 3. She was ranked 4. When I fell, she moved up to 3, and she was on the team. It was horrible. In fact, funny story, when we made our first international team in 1985, we almost had a fight on the plane. It was the World University Games team in Kobe, Japan. And so we're on the team together. I won. I was the first person in Texas to win the state team championship as an individual in the largest division. So I won the 800 meters. I won the 400 meters. I got second in the long jump, and I won the high jump. And I broke the Texas state record in the high jump. I jumped 6'1.5", and I scored all the points for our team, and we got first. Our team tied with a school named Dallas Carter. They had 8 people. They had relays, and they scored the same amount of points. So, and then she did the same thing in California. So we couldn't stand each other. And so we both make the World University Games team in Kobe, Japan, and we're playing a card game. And she reneges. If you play spades, then to renege is you play the wrong suit. Anyway, when I called her on it, she had to give us 3 books because she reneged, and our team won, and she was ready to fight. She was from Compton. I was from 3rd Ward. Those are both hoods in Houston and in LA, and it was about to, and they had to stop us from fighting on the World University Games team. We were on an airplane, believe that or not. In any case, so that is real hard for me to watch the Olympics. It's just real hard for me to watch the Olympics, which is fine. But I now compete in the Texas legislature. I compete in court all day, every day. So I just changed the way I compete. And I think you should judge people not by how they fall down, but how they get up. And if they make the same mistakes again, if you fall away, you shouldn't repeat that same way falling.
Thank you. Next up.
You're welcome.
I can jump in next. Once again, thank you for taking the time to be here with us today. Your athletic career is obviously marked by a bunch of remarkable achievements. How did your experiences as a top-tier athlete influence your approach to public policy making and public service?
Do you want to be elected one day?
Preferably not for me personally,
Okay.
but
I don't. So I just tend to be naturally competitive. I've been that way for as long as I can remember. I can remember being outside when I was little, before grade school, and wanting to beat the boys and beat the girls in dodgeball or kickball or tag, whatever game, Marco Polo, whatever game we played, I wanted to win. And it ended up translating well into athletics because I guess because I used to win everything, some kind of way I figured out that I was good in sports, because my mother didn't think girls should sweat. So my mother didn't really want me to do sports. And I think the thing that I would say that sports taught me to persevere, but that would not be accurate. When you grow up not having anything, you grow up not having lights, you grow up not having water, you grow up getting evicted. You grow up and your brother is murdered. You grow up and your aunt is murdered. You grow up and your father committed suicide and you were in the room with him when he committed suicide. Things can be really hard. and you know you got to get up the next day and continue. So I knew that just from my life. I can remember, and I tell people that this experience basically exemplifies how my mother raised me. When we were in the 10th grade, we did not have electricity. So my mom was using candles at night so we could see. And some kind of way, a candle caught fire and the house caught fire. And at night, figures. And so we're all outside of the house. I'm outside. I'm the same height now as I was in 10th grade. So I'm 6 foot. I'm outside in panties and a t-shirt at nighttime. And the fire truck drives by our rent house. In any case, and we're very thankful that we all were able to get out of the house. We're very thankful that my mom was able to find her car keys, because I'm certain my mother's car wasn't insured. But what my mother did literally was an exercise in overcoming. She called my best friend, asked my best friend's mom, can I come spend the night over there and go to school from there? So my mother literally dropped me off at my best friend. She dropped my sister Chin off at her best friend's. She dropped us all off and we all went to school the next day. I literally wore my friend's clothes and I was way taller than Wendy. So I wore her pants. We were about the same size. I had high water pants on and I went to school the next day. Our house literally burned down the night before. And when I was at school, they were like, I smell smoke, Joe. Do you smell smoke? And of course, I was too embarrassed to tell anybody that our house burned down. I was like, oh, we had an electrical short. So I didn't want to tell them that we didn't have electricity. So I can't say that sports taught me that no matter what, you keep going, even when it's hard, which is a skill I used being elected. But I will say this, when I ran track and so just go back to the state meet, so in 1984, I told you I won the state team championship. In 1984, I won the 800 meters I ran. You know what, why don't I tell you, and I'll let you guys see this. Why don't I tell you, hold on. Let me show you I'm gonna switch this camera. How do I switch this camera? Okay. Can you see those medals?
We can.
So that's in my office, right? So the bottom row is in 9th grade. The row above that is in 10th grade. The row above that is my junior year, and the top row is my senior year. And so you can see that is a silver medal. I got second in the 9th grade in 800 meters. I was very upset. You hear me? I didn't care that I was a freshman. The girl that beat me was a senior, but I didn't care because I was taller than her and I thought I should have won. So I was very, and even though everybody was like, oh, you're great. That's so wonderful. That's so wonderful. I was like, no, they were like, she was in 12th grade. I was like, so. And then this is my sophomore year where you'll see 2 golds and a silver. I won the 800 meters and the high jump. And I got a silver medal in the 400 meters. And so my junior year, so back to the question about one of my biggest failures, my junior year, I literally did not defend my state championship. This is my state high jump medal. And I choked. I got 4th, and a girl I hated won. It sucked. We both ended up being at the University of Houston together. She never beat me again after that. But that's not the point. So so you see in 10th grade, I had 3 medals. In 11th grade, I only had 2, both of which were gold. And then so I won the 8 and the 4 in 11th grade. And then in 12th grade, talking about training, you can see those medals. I won 3 golds and a silver. Why that's important is the thing that track taught me that I just use everything in life is that I knew I could literally almost die physically or think I was going to die and survive, right? Which is a great skill to have, is to know that you can gasp for air. And it's funny because I always give my all every time I competed, and I pass out after every track meet. And my mother would run out on the track and the coaches would be like, move out of the way. And then I'd live to work out the next day. And so my coach gave me a workout. I will remember this workout till I die. I've done a lot of hard workouts, But I think this was one of the hardest, most intense workouts that I've ever done in my life. And it happened when I was in high school. At the state track meet, the 8 and the 4 were 15 minutes apart, the way they were, and the 8 came first. Okay. So if anybody has ever won an 800 meters, anybody who thinks that's is distance, you're crazy. It's a sprint and it takes forever to recover from it. So on Friday, I long jumped. The long jump was by itself. I got second. I think I jumped 19.7 and a half, 19.7 and a quarter. It was my PR. I got second, no big deal. So we trained, my coach trained me to be able to high jump, run the 800 meters, and run the 400 meters at the same time, for the most part, which was Saturday. So the workout that I did in high school was this. It was 4 400s in 60 seconds with 60 seconds rest. Hardest workout for a high schooler, which teaches you to pace, right? I ran on splits, I ran like 51, 52. In the open, I ran like 54 because I always had a whole bunch of events and a whole bunch of relays to do at track meets. And that was the hardest race, the hardest practice that I ever had. And my high school coach, when he told me about the workout, I said, Coach, I can't do that. And he said, Joe, have I ever lied to you? I said, no. If I tell you you can do this workout, you can do this workout. And he says, and I'm going to put you in a position to meet the goals of this workout, which is to run 4 60-second quarters with 60 seconds rest in between. And he went and got a guy on the team. His name was Tony Rocha. To this day, Rocha and I are still friends. Of course, he's a dude, and dudes run faster than girls in 12th grade most times. Rocha paced me. So he was the rabbit. And coach was like, just sit with him. And he paced me. And I did the workout. I completed it. I was dying. And after the practice was over, I thought I was going to die. I don't remember how long it took me to recover, but I learned 2 things in that workout. The first thing I learned is, even when I literally physically think I'm going to die and I can't do something, I can do it. It's the first thing I learned. And I apply that to everything, not just politics, I'm a lawyer, but I'm also a small business owner, right? So sometimes stuff gets hard. My mother worked for people. My mother worked at the post office. So I had to learn how to build a business. And I've now had my business since 1998. The second thing I learned from that is that if you have a good coach who supports you and who tells you to do something, then do it. Because if your coach supports you and they're a good coach, they can coach you through very difficult things. And if your coach has faith in you, you should probably have faith in yourself. And so I learned those 2 things from track. But also I was an All-American in basketball as well. And I was all-state in cross country. And I had full academic rights to all the Ivy League. So, I was the proverbial super achiever.
Joe, you were and are a badass. That's why we love you.
Thank you. I'll take that.
You're a badass. Next question.
So, with the hardships that you faced in your life, in your childhood,
You sound muffled.
Andrew, you're not coming through.
You sound muffled.
let me check real quick.
Try again. Try it.
You still sound muffled.
No, we'll let you figure it out. We'll move on to the next one.
Okay, I can go in the meantime. Thank you again for being with us today. I know
Thanks
a lot
for
of us,
having me.
yeah, I know a lot of us use sports as a way to de-stress, but sometimes it can add more stress, especially with pressure, time management, and other challenges. And I was wondering how you went about managing your time and stress when it came to trying to succeed in sports and school, and also when you were entering the workforce as well?
So let me just say this. I think perspective is everything, right? So I'm different than most athletes because I had personal tragedies that taught me that I could get through anything, right? So I wrote a book. Can you see it? It's called Owning My Shit. Shit is an acronym, S period, H period, I period, T exclamation point. And it stands for suffering, hardship, internalizing trauma. And I talk about overcoming being raped by an uncle and by a teammate, the suicide of my dad and my uncles, surviving domestic violence, the murder of my brother and my cousins, just being poor and family dysfunction. It's an Amazon bestseller, by the way. If you want to buy it, don't buy it from Amazon, buy it from me. But so what I talk about in the book is how I used to feel really sorry for myself because I had all these really bad things happen to me. And it's hard to get through the morass of feeling sorry for yourself, even if it's hard, right? Because, people don't appreciate that we're actually working when we're on the track team. We're working to keep our scholarships. I mean, we're practicing however many hours. I was a heptathlete. I know I was practicing 4 hours a day, plus going to class and all this stuff. And people think that what we do is fun. Well, they don't know that we're falling out in practice because we're pushing ourselves to our limit. Because I will say this, if you don't practice hard, you can't compete hard. You're literally going to compete like you practice. So if you're that lazy person practicing, you wonder why people miss layups in high pressure games because they're not used to doing fast layups in high pressure. That's just an aside. I would just teach you. But for me, the only way I was going to get out of poverty was to graduate from college, and my mother couldn't afford it. So it really didn't matter how hard it was. It really didn't matter how focused I had to be. I did not have fun when I was in college. I didn't go out for the most part. I had perfect attendance from kindergarten through college, except for I missed one day of school in 8th grade. And in college, you have to make yourself be disciplined. But for me, if I'm going into every class thinking, if I miss class, what they talk about, what the professor teaches on the day I'm not there is what's going to be on that damn test. And I don't want to miss it because I want to get the highest grade in class. And so for me, it was very much long-term goals. And I, for the most part, said to myself, whatever it is I have to go through now is going to be worth it. Because when I get big, and it was as simple as this, people are like, how'd you get elected? Like, how'd you know you could run for office? Or how'd you end up being a lawyer? My childhood was so traumatic. Like me and my sisters, we all attempted suicide. Thank God that it's hard to kill yourself. My dad blew his brains out. My mother hated guns. Thank God we didn't have a gun. I tried with aspirin. It's really hard to kill yourself with aspirin. And I'm thankful for that because I'm able to fight now. But I will tell you that when my goal for myself was simply, when I grow up, I don't want to get evicted. I want to have enough money to pay my rent. When I grow up, if my car breaks down, I want to be able to afford to fix it. I don't want to send it to the mechanic and then can't get it back because I can't afford to pay for it. I had very simple goals for myself. When I grow up, I don't want my lights getting turned off. And so everything I did was so that I would have a life as a grown-up that I could control because I couldn't control when I was a kid. So I just think that I had more of an advantage than most people who haven't had to go through struggle. When you go through struggle, you're either going to be defeated by it or you're going to overcome it. So for me, here's how I think about everything. What can possibly happen to me that's worse than your dad blowing his brains out when you were with him when he did it. Nothing. Anything else is like an irritation, right? I had mayors politically who differed with me. They both tried to destroy me. In Houston, which is a very strong mayoral form of government, they did not destroy me. People look at me and they're like, oh, you look great. Like they came at for you. And I'm like, they were an annoyance. They were like a gnat. They were not like a bazooka. And so so for those of you who are struggling, I respectfully suggest perhaps you should shift the paradigm of your thought and be like, man, if I can get through this really bad thing, nothing else can stop me. And there's a certain level of confidence that you just have. So it doesn't matter who comes for me. I'm like, oh, okay, this ain't worse than my daddy killing himself. So that's just sort of my mentality. And I talked about in the book when I shifted the paradigm from feeling sorry for myself, woe is me, this is so hard, why doesn't everybody have it this hard, was like, you know what, I got through that, oh, for sure I'm going to get through this. So I really don't have time, at least now, to feel sorry for myself, even if bad stuff happens. And I use I always say I figured out how to use my kryptonite as a superpower.
And that's why people call you Superwoman.
I've been called that sometimes.
I'll bet you have. Next question.
Is my audio a
Oh,
little
you
more
sound
clear?
so much better now. Yeah.
All right, great, thank you. So as a young athlete, did you have someone in your life or someone that you looked up to? And what characteristics did this person have that made you want to strive to be like them or strive to succeed?
So there were 3 people in my life that are the reason that I'm alive today, because I'm certain had I not had them in my life, I would have continued attempting suicide until I was successful. I'm certain of it. The first person was my grandmother. I don't know how she knew, but she's super religious, super Catholic. Like the only person I know for sure is in heaven right now, this second. She just seemed to know when I was at my wit's end, and so I could talk to her. My Aunt Kathy, I was very awkward when I was younger, very ugly, for lack of a better word. There's a lot of colorism in the Black community. I was a dark-skinned Black person, which was not good. And so I got bullied a lot. And I got teased a lot about my father dying. So they would say stuff like, go be with your daddy. Well, for me to go be with my dad, I'd have to be dead. Or you crazy like your daddy. So it was just very, so I'd always be crying. But I could call my Aunt Kathy and she would tell me that I was okay. And if I ever needed her, that I could call her. So, and if I needed money, because my mother never had enough money, she would give me the money I needed to buy whatever it was I needed. And then finally my coach, but I tell you the story about my coach. He said to me when I was 17, he said, Joe, the thing that worries me about you is that you put so much pressure on yourself. So this is to all the little high achievers, because I was the president of the High Achievers Club. Chill out, right? Chill out. I would set a goal and I would achieve it. I wouldn't even pat myself on the back. I'd set the next goal. And I literally spent my younger years trying to break every record for everything. And he said, Joe, that's not healthy. It's not psychologically healthy. When you work hard and you achieve a goal, you need to celebrate yourself. That's not arrogant, because if you don't, then you will never be fulfilled if you reach some plateau and then move to the next one. So that's what I would tell young people. So I speak a lot. I fly around the country and I speak. And especially when I go to like elementary schools, you know, they're sitting on the floors. I was always that kid that sat at the front of the class and I raised my hand to answer every question. I don't want the teachers to call on anybody else. And I see little kids do that. And I'm like, I wish I could tell them, like, calm down, it's going to be okay. Like, it's going to be okay. Because I think too much of anything is bad. And so my biggest critic of me is me. And so I've learned to have patience with me. And I've learned to sit back and feel like, you know what, Jolanda, you really have accomplished more than most people. So you need to just chill out. You need to just chill out. You know, I mean, you guys have already accomplished more than most athletes in high school. You're freaking competing at college. Most athletes don't compete in college. They're not good enough. I mean, most are not on scholarship, and many who try to walk on aren't even good enough to walk on. So you guys are elite, whether you win NCAA medals or not. And the skills you learn being around greatness, watching people complete difficult workouts, working with your teammates, helping your teammates, being a team, you already have every single solitary skill you need to be successful in business. But one problem with athletes is that a lot of us don't know how to transition from the glory days of athletics to work. I'm telling you, it's the same. And that's funny because when people know I was on the USA track and field team for track and field, they always think that I'm not a team player because they think track is an individual sport. And they don't understand the dynamics of track, and everybody's at the track all together and everybody's pushing everybody and trying to pull us through, or we're challenging our teammates to be better. We're challenging ourselves to be better. You will rise. You will be the star person at your job. That's just what it's going to be. And most really successful women, like CEOs, they were athletes, whether it was at a high school level or whether it was a college level, because people that don't do athletics don't know what it's like to have to do stuff when you don't want to. I cannot tell you the number of people that want to work out, they want to be fine, they start working out, then they're sore, and they quit. Well, we know as athletes, when we first start off in the preseason, it sucks. And we wonder why we ever let ourselves get out of shape in the first place. So we know that we might be sore today, but in 2 weeks or 3 weeks, the soreness is going to go away. And then we're just going to do what we do. So you guys have all the tools you need. You just may not know it yet. And not just to survive, but to be great. Because I will take a hard worker over a talented person 1,000 times out of 1,000. Because hard workers are going to work hard, whether it's easy or whether it's hard. Talented people tend to be lazy. And you never know who's going to show up that day. Look, you can see that in sports. You can see that in life. So I'm going to say that again. In most companies, I was on a hiring committee at this prominent law firm. I was the first Black law clerk at the firm. I was the first Black lawyer at the firm. I was on the hiring committee. We wanted athletes. Like, there was a girl there. I mean, a whole bunch of people make straight A's. Let's be clear. A bunch of people make straight A's. So what makes me as a straight A student different than you as a straight A student? Well, if I know that you competed at a team level, you made the team, again, whether it's middle school, high school, or college or something else, then we know that you have the skills to be able to work with whatever team it is. And I cannot tell you, people who don't play sports, they don't get it. They quit so easy. And brainiacs are a dime a dozen. True story. And team sports make I mean, there are people on your team you like, there are people on your team you don't like. You've got to learn how to have good social skills, which is important in life. I was on Survivor. Let me show you. My office is interesting. So I was on Survivor. Did y'all know I was on Survivor? This is our cast photo. Can you see it?
Yep.
I was on Survivor. I'm the little speck back there. And when I was on Survivor, I didn't realize how important social skills are. You know how when you're running a race and you can't just take off, right? Especially if you run the 8, you gotta pace yourself. You gotta have a strategy about how you're gonna run. In Survivor, I showed all my cards early. I won immunity, scared the shit out of people. And they said, you know what, she got to go. So I got voted off. I did not use the skills I learned in track, where I got to pull people through and help people, or even in basketball. Um, so you've just got to remember what you're learning. When you're training, you're literally in a classroom. I know you don't think you are. And it's so funny because my political consultant thought, because I'm a super high achiever, that I was going to be a witch. I wasn't going to follow instructions. I wasn't going to listen. He thought that I was going to be a difficult client. He was like, "You're the best client I've ever had." Because when we developed a team strategy, and it wasn't just what I wanted, we would sit, we would devise a strategy. I might not even understand the strategy first, because I wasn't an expert in politics. And they'd be like, "Joe, you got to do this for this reason, this reason." And if they could sell me on it, then I would run the play, because that's what you learn when you're an athlete. And then people wondered how I raised more money than anybody. I hate asking anybody for anything. Oh my God, I hate it. In politics, you got to beg for money. So I was relentless. I called every day for 2 hours begging people for money. And I hate asking for any help. And I was calling people so much, they would call my people and be like, "Hey, can you tell Jolanda to stop calling me?" Well, she didn't call me 5 times. And they would say, "Well, if you just give us some money, she'll stop calling you." Right? That definitely, that relentlessness I learned uh, from being an athlete, like, for sure.
That's awesome. Next question.
Hi, thank you again for speaking with us today. I was wondering if there are any moments in your athletic career that helped you develop leadership skills and how you're able to carry these skills into your career.
You know what's funny? I don't, so let me be clear. Now, like 59-year-old Jolanda, I prefer to lead rather than follow. Let me be clear. But in everybody's life, there's a time when you got to follow. The question is, are you smart enough to know when it's time to lead and when it's time to follow? But I have learned that I'm a leader. I didn't always know I was a leader. In fact, I was very insecure because I didn't have what other people had. But the really interesting thing about leadership is people will let you know if they want you to lead. So I would always find myself in situations where they're like, "Yeah, Joe, what should we do?" Right? So the people around you will let you know if you're a leader. They just will. I had the opportunity to I guess I'll call it audition, for lack of a better word. They were going to do this show with Star Jones, and they were looking for a supporting cast with her. And so I was invited to audition. Now, I'll jump to the end of the story first. The show didn't go anywhere because, as it turned out, Star didn't test well. They didn't like her. But even on that show with a whole bunch of highly accomplished legal minds and law enforcement people, even though Star was supposed to be the star, the people kept saying I might make a statement, because it was like a panel type show, sort of like The View, but for legal stuff. They would be like, Star Jones is like, "Yeah, like Jolanda said, you'll just," and if you see that happening with you, if you see that people are adopting your ideas, or people are asking you for your opinion for difficult stuff, then I think it's indicative of your ability to lead, is what I think. So I never was like, "Ooh, I'm a leader. I'm just going to run everybody." But I've just learned that people end up wanting me to lead. People always, perfect example. I grew up poor with our lights getting cut off and not having food and on free and reduced lunch. And when I tell you, I literally knew I was supposed to vote, I did not know I could actually like run for office. Every political office I've ever run for, somebody talked me into it. "You should do this, Jolanda. You help people, Jolanda." So I got elected to city council, then I got elected to the state Democratic Executive Committee, then I got elected to the school board. Now I'm elected to state rep. And when I think back when I was in college, they wanted me to run for SGA, for the Student Government Association. So I guess that what that teaches me is that I can clearly be convinced to do stuff. But people will let you know whether you are a leader. But there's nothing wrong with following, right? So generally, if I'm in a situation, I'm always trying to figure out, where do I fit in? Like, so that if I need to lead, then I'll lead. If I need to follow, then I need to follow. If I need to bring people up from the back, I'll do that. I always, and I learned that in track, like, especially if you're on a relay, right? Like, because think about it. You're on the USA track and field team. You're on the 4x4. You probably at your university were probably the anchor, but on the USA track and field team, everybody's great. So you might end up running second leg instead of anchor, because when you got a whole bunch of alpha women or a whole bunch of alpha men, then you got to get in where you fit in and be the most helpful. So, and that's actually what leadership is about, right? Figuring out where you fit in to be the most effective for whatever the goal it is you have set.
It also
Everybody's
sounds like, Joe, in your situation, it's where you fit, but so much of what other people have talked you into, and I'm not sure they talked you into it, maybe.
Oh, they absolutely talked me into it.
Okay, but it was always an opportunity to serve, right? You
Oh,
have
for sure.
served,
For
right?
sure.
So it aligned with your values. Yes?
For sure. So yes, it did. So here's what's funny. I always call myself the reluctant elected officials, because if you look at my social media, and I encourage y'all to follow me on IG, it's at Jolanda Jones, made up black name, Jolanda Jones. I bet you're not going to find any elected officials that post bikini pictures. Be willing to bet you money. I bet you're not going to find elected officials that do viral dances and stuff. Because after having survived domestic violence, I made a promise to myself that I would be true to who I am and not allow anybody to make me be something that I didn't want to be. And so my handlers, I call them my handlers, they're like, Joe, I remember when I first got elected, they're like, Joe, you can't post bikini pictures. I'm like, why? Dude, I work out. I can't I said, this is what I'll do. I won't post thong pictures. So before I got elected, I used to wear thongs. After I got elected, I only wear bikinis, right? I, I think that, and going back to the leadership question, you got to figure out who you are, and then you got to figure out how to be the best version of who the hell you are. And I am eclectic. I call myself the Punky Brewster of the legislature. I wear colors. Even when I was a baby lawyer, they were like, you got to buy tan suits, navy suits, black suits, brown suits. I was like, I'm not a tan, navy, black, brown kind of girl. I'm a lime green, lipstick red kind of girl, right? And I mean, I'm bald-headed by choice. I mean, I don't have cancer. People are like, oh, I'm so sorry you have cancer. No, I just got tired of trying to keep up with these European standards of beauty, right? And so, and when you feel good about yourself, then you can be great. If you're too busy trying to figure out what people want you to be and you're trying to be that, you're going to have problems. I'll tell you this, I'm the first Black openly LGBT person. With who? Okay, when I finish this, whenever it is. I don't know. As I can't help it that she wasn't here when she was supposed to be here.
I know, I've got David, White waiting for the president.
Okay, well, I can't help it that they weren't on time, but I'll let you know when I'm done. Thank you. So I'm the first Black openly LGBT person in the Texas legislature. And it's interesting because it took me a long time to come out. I was afraid, believe that or not. I was terrified. I'm Black. The Black people tend to be super homophobic. I had a bunch of pastors who supported me back when I thought I was straight. And so I was terrified of coming out because I thought I would lose support and I would no longer be able to be elected. But it was very hard to suppress who I am. And it's not even about sex, right? It's about like who you date, who you feel comfortable with whatever. So when I was 50, I came out, and I expected a whole bunch of really bad, I just expected, like I had this albatross on my shoulders. And then when I came out, there were a few knuckleheads, and I don't really worry about them because their opinion of me is their problem, not mine. I was able to like start discussions. Like, you don't look gay. Well, what does somebody gay look like? Well, you could get a man. Well, I don't want no man, but you're pretty. So gay people got to be ugly. So I just think that whoever it is you are, figure it out. And it's really hard. And life can be long, right? I mean, I'm 59. I will be 60 this year. To be somebody that you are not, and surround yourself with people who love you no matter what, right? And sometimes they're not your biological family, because I had to kick my aunt to the curb since she wanted to judge me, right? And I'm certain the people that will support you. They will take your secrets to the grave. They will defend you. Find those people, right? And if somebody you trust betrays you, I think you need to, like, I'm not saying try to do harm to them. I'm not saying wish them ill will, but you need to keep it moving. So I will cut a person out of my life like this if I find out that they don't support me, because life is hard. Most people at a job, I don't always like being elected, because I'm a reluctant elected official. I never wanted to run for re-election, but Keith Wade, my advisor, bless his heart, he died of COVID May 21st, 2020. I would not want to run for re-election. And then he would say to me, Joe, you have a good skill set. You're a trial lawyer. You know the rules. You can help people. You're not afraid. You can fight for the little guy. If not you, then who? If not now, then when? So then he would guilt me into running for re-election. But at the end of the day, if you talk to anybody in Texas, they will tell you Jolanda is always going to fight for the guy that nobody else fights for. Always. Unapologetically. And then just, getting my grades when I was younger has just put me in a better position to be able to critically think. For the most part, outthink everybody. And I'm for sure going to outlast them, because my life taught me to outlast. Sports taught me to outlast. So that's what I would tell young people, is figure out who you are, be unapologetic about it, surround yourself with people who love you and who you love back. Don't surround yourself with people you love more than they love you. That's
such great counsel. I know that someone's going to knock on your door again, because that's what happens. But I just want to say on behalf of everybody, thank you. You have been, are, and will always be a force. And what a great role model for us to kind of follow. You've given us so many things to think about. I just want to say thank you, Joe. I mean, you were fantastic. Thank you.
Thanks. And I want to say just one quick thing. Years ago, I went and spoke at OU, at the University of Oklahoma. And at the time, Sam Bradford was a freshman. And I went to go speak to their football team to teach them how to overcome obstacles and be a positive leader, not a negative leader. And I remember meeting Sam. He was, like I say, he was a freshman. His roommate was an offensive lineman. And the coach said to me, that kid's going to win the Heisman. And in my mind, I was thinking, yeah, right. He's a freshman. Well, he went on to win the Heisman as a freshman. But the biggest thing I remember about Sam Bradford is, even though he was great, he was humble. He was the nicest kid. Like, he didn't even know his greatness. He's Native American. So I almost think he sort of had the same situation as me, where he was just trying to come up. And he just wanted to be a grown-up who had more opportunities than when he was younger. And so that's what I'll say to all of you. Do not take yourself that seriously, like literally. Be humble. And if you're great, people will tell you you're great. You literally don't have to tell nobody you're great. People will tell you.
Hey, Joe, you're great.
Thank you.